Longtime viewers of the channel will know that I absolutely love to paint miniatures. In fact, you can see the collection that I've been painting over the last couple of years. Now I want to emphasize last couple of years because I am a notoriously slow painter, and I would like to challenge myself this year on being faster at painting and assembling my models. So I've been talking with the Chaos Cultist and we have come up with a plan. We are both going to be picking out our very own Spearhead for Age of Sigmar. We're going to be getting that built, painted up, and then we are going to be playing against each other on the channel within a specific time period. Now, I don't yet know what that time period is. I hope it's not too fast, but speaking of which, let's go ahead and talk next about which Spearhead I actually picked out and what I'll be painting. Now you might be already guessing, what could Angela have picked out that she wants to paint? And I bet you are probably wrong, because you might be thinking, oh, it's gonna be the Ratman, or the Skaven, I suppose. It might be vampires, because she loves vampires, but no. In fact, I picked something completely different from both of those. I went with the Seraphon, my big, chunky lizard boys. Now the reason I picked the Seraphon is a couple-fold, actually. First and foremost, it's a small amount of models. And because I am challenging myself to do this in a smaller amount of time than I normally would be comfortable doing because I want to get faster, I figured having a smaller amount of models to assemble and paint might benefit me in this challenge. Additionally, I have painted Seraphon only one other time. It was when I bought one of the Underworld sets. It was delightful. It had that adorable chameleon skink in it. And I loved putting contrast colors on those scales. I did the entire Lizardman set in a couple of different colors alongside the Chaos Cultist. It was delightful. I had so much fun with it, and I want to recreate that joy with these 14 models that are in this particular set. I also just think the color schemes that you can do with the Lizardmen also just very bright, bold, and fun, and I want to do something very bright and vivid after having painted a lot of black, red, and white on my previous Vampire Blood Bowl team. So that's the reason I'm going with Seraphon. Now, Chaos Cultist, you also picked something out. Do you want to tell the folks what you're painting?
I will. I have picked out the Soulblight Gravelord.
My vampires! I'm very excited for this. Now, you actually are like way ahead of me on this, and I've already seen what your army is looking like, and I love it, but we need to focus on my army. So let's actually start opening up this box, getting these models built up, because that's what we're here to do today. Hey guys, I'm just jumping into the video to remind you to hit that subscribe button if you're enjoying the content that you find here. And if you're into the spicier side of the hobby, then I invite you to join my VIP page. New subscribers get 50% off their first month subscription. I hope to see you there. Now, let's go ahead and get back to the video.
And by quicker, we mean about 10 times faster than you normally get things assembled, Angela.
Yes, exactly.
Because for those of you who are watching who don't know, Angela is very meticulous when it comes to cleaning up her mold lines and such, which is great. That's great. It makes for beautiful models. But it also means that it takes her approximately 2 weeks to assemble a single 10-man squad.
Yeah, and honestly, as much as I do enjoy being somewhat meticulous about things, I would actually like to be faster at this. So what is my time limit to get this done then?
Well, originally we were going to say 48 hours. However, because of just other things that are going on, we're going to say 3 days. You have 3 days to get these guys built up and ready to be primed. Ideally, get them primed in that time anyway, because hell, once they're assembled, it won't take long.
Exactly. Well, you know, after having looked at this box a little bit and taking a peek at what actually comes in it, I think doing this within 48 hours to 3 days is very doable. I actually only have one major squad to really worry about in regards to separating the pieces out and making sure they're all together, because I think building these big guys and then my guy riding a dinosaur, I mean, that's gonna be very straightforward. They look very straightforward. So I'm excited about this. I wanna go ahead and finally actually open this box and see what the sprues look like and see how they're broken up, because I have some bowls here with me that I plan on separating these pieces out into to basically divide them up so that I can basically unsprue everything at once. I just want to get everything clipped out so that I'm not holding sprues around and wasting that. So let's see what they look like, and we can start actually getting things clipped out and pieced together so we can get these guys assembled. I'm so excited to finally be jumping into Age of Sigmar. I know a lot of you guys have in the past been like, hey, when are you gonna play Age of Sigmar? When are you gonna play Age of Sigmar? Well, the time is now. So we have our instruction guide. We'll take a peek at that in a bit. We've got a couple different base sizes, but it does look like the majority of everybody seems to be on this. I'm assuming my big boy will be on like a larger base though. Speaking of, woohoo! Look at that. Honestly, God, I cannot wait to paint these scales. It's going to be so fun. And I actually think cleanup on these guys will be pretty easy because I imagine the mold lines are going to be even more hidden just because there's so much texture happening anyways.
What color are you thinking for the dinosaur?
So for the dinosaur, I actually do think I might end up doing red on the dinosaur, or I might be doing green. I do really like the teal that they're showing in the actual box art. Like, I love this sort of teal vibe.
No, not for the lizard.
No, I know. And that's why I'm like, I may still go for red for contrast because I am thinking about doing blues for my main lizards. But I could also be... Orange could be another option because I think that could look really pretty with the teal. I could do very sort of desert, like turquoise with like desert sand.
Like white highlight, like yellow white.
Yeah,
highlight.
like with a yellow white highlight. I think that could be really fun. The other direction I was thinking is instead of going teal with the lizards, going a like bright green. Because I really just, I don't know, that feels very alligator and I kind of like that. And then I could end up doing the big boy in teal, which I also could lean towards. I don't really know. Or I could do him in purple if I did the greens.
You need a second color on the dinosaur. You can't be fully one color. What would the contrast be?
Oh, I see what you're saying. So like I would...
Like in the photo, if you hold that up.
Yeah, it is red, white, and black in the photo.
And I'm talking in particular, like, yeah, there's the belly color, which I imagine that'll be something lighter.
Yes.
Are you going to go with the spine color being different?
I do think I'll do the spine color being different. I want to see what it actually... Well, actually, I can look at the sprue, because it's probably here.
It's sculpted?
It is sculpted. I was wanting to see if it was more like natural or if it was meant to be... So I was trying to see whether or not it was natural, which it is, or if it was metallic, like it could be metallic or something like that, like armored or whatever. And it's definitely not armored. It's definitely just their scales. So I think, a wet blend might be very interesting with it. Doing like a green into a blue, potentially, if I go that direction with him. Or potentially doing like orange into purple, I'm almost imagining could be very interesting.
Now just keep in mind, similar to the assembly, you will have a time limit on how long you have to paint these.
And I think the time, I think ultimately the time limit will probably determine potentially what my color scheme is. Because one of those wet blends will be more complicated than the other because the colors are more varied and you risk having like browns turn up. Whereas like I think the blue greens, you can easily make that wet blend super easy, a little bit sloppier, a little bit messier, and it'll still look very natural. So I don't know. I also almost want to go like, I probably will pick some sort of triptych is what I'm imagining. Or not triptych, what is the term for when you have three colors? Triad. A triad.
Yes.
Thank you. I was like completely blanking on that.
I think a triptych still gets the idea.
I mean, it does, but that's when you have three images together that create one image. But anyways, the idea is like, I want to create a triad of some variety, and I have a couple of ideas in mind, but I'm definitely leaning cool toned over warm toned. That's like the key element that I know is going to happen here. Because I work in a lot of like very warm color tones most of the time, like a lot of yellow greens and stuff. And while there may still end up being a little bit of that, I still want to lean more into that teal, blue, and maybe even purple direction. Who knows? Maybe these guys will end up being very Slaneshian looking. I haven't fully decided. But now that we've taken a look at the sprues, I feel pretty confident that, yes, my plan for splitting them up into these bowls so that I can get everything off and just get rid of the sprues immediately and just have the pieces ready to assemble and I can just plow through them, I think that's going to work best for me. So I'm going to go ahead and get started on that and actually start clipping things out. I've been working really hard and I've got my big dino built along with his rider, as well as all three of my Croxagores, and I absolutely love the way that they're looking. How long has it been?
48 hours.
Oh.
You have 1 day remaining. Yeah.
Okay, well, interesting. Before we move on to what I need to continue to work on, I do want to talk a little bit about my Croxagores because I really enjoyed building these guys, and I'm now a little nervous that I only have the 1 day left to finish building things, but I think I have a plan. But these big boys, man, I cannot wait to paint them. I don't even want to know how long I'm actually going to have to paint all of this. I feel like this is all rushed by. But these chonky lads, super easy to put together, honestly. I had to make some choices on which weapons they were going to have and which version of the Kroxigor I was going to build. But ultimately, I was just following what the Spearhead actual rules are in the Age of Sigmar app. And so I just went with the basic Kroxigors. And frankly, I still think they're really cool looking. Like, God, putting paint on these guys is going to be so fun. But, oh, before we move on to the plan, I do want to call out that I am going to keep the big boy in a couple of different pieces. I have the lizard separate, and then I am actually keeping the rider as well as his throne also separate from each other because I figured this is just going to be a little bit easier to approach them. And I think my plan is going to be to start with the rider, then do the chair, attach the strap to it, get that all glued down to the lizard, and then actually paint him up. Or at least maybe like put a little bit of color on put a little bit of color on his back and then place it down. But that's sort of my idea for that. So before we move on to, well, we can't move on to painting yet. We haven't even finished building everything. So what is my plan? As you can kind of tell on the desk here, I have all of my sources, the last 10 miniatures that I need to build, already clipped out and put into individual bowls so that I can hopefully just very quickly in a couple of hours just get them all glued together.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
I really hope it is only a couple more hours, like maximum maybe 3. Thankfully, these guys don't feel nearly as complex as the Kroxigors. These guys had a lot of like really small little pieces. Weirdly enough, like some of their like scales were in weird sections, but I think it's because of how their like backs are arched and all that kind of thing. So it made a little bit more sense, but these guys didn't seem like they were in as many pieces. So I'm hoping it's going to go a lot faster. Let's get to it. I want to get these guys built so the entire squad is ready to go.
Now you just have to paint them.
I have a great plan for how I'm going to prime these miniatures up, but first, I got them done in 3 days. Heck yeah, I did it! So, it was a rush. I don't know if I actually got the rest of the squad done in that 3 hours. It may have taken me 4. Listen, I'm working on my pacing, okay? I'm working on my pacing. By the way, speaking of which, Chaos Cultist, once I actually get these guys primed, and we'll talk about what we're doing with that in a second, how long am I actually gonna have to paint everybody?
Well, I was thinking about it, and it is 14 miniatures, but it is spread across 3 units, one of them being, a giant dinosaur unit.
Yes.
I was thinking a week per unit, so you will have 3 weeks to paint them. And for some people watching at home, that may not sound like a challenge. But for Angela,
it's gonna be a challenge. However, I think that is legitimately accomplishable. And
yes,
breaking it down.
Is.
Sorry,
the entire point of this challenge is to get you to be more competent at speed painting.
Yes, and I think that's doable, and I actually really like the idea of doing it by unit and trying to get it done. And even if I get one of them done really fast, progressing even forward, it's gonna be so good. Okay, well, since we're talking about painting, let's talk about how we're gonna prime up the entire army, because I've been thinking about what I wanna do. And I know at the beginning of this video, we sort of hashed out some ideas for what I was going to be doing paint-wise. And ultimately, I do want to go with a very tropical color scheme for these models, which is going to end up leaning with a lot of blues, greens, and purples. Very cool color tones. However, because I want to be very tropical, I am going to do a warm undercoat for the models. We're going to prime them up using Wraithbone, which is going to capture some of that warmth and allow that to shine through a little bit through some of my more translucent blues and blue-greens, which I really am excited to put all over these scales. It's gonna be so good. I know I've been talking about that this entire video, but frankly, that's the whole reason I even picked the Seraphon for this particular challenge, is because I just thought it'd be so fun to paint them, and I really want to throw contrast colors on all of these gorgeous, fun, spiky, actually very painful because I injured myself a little bit while I was building them, scales. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and do that. We're gonna get these primed up in Wraithbone. That way next time we can actually start painting our models, and hopefully I get them done in that 3-week period. It's totally doable. Let's do this. I did it! I got them fully assembled and fully primed in under a week. I'm so very proud of myself when it comes to this Seraphon army already. And next time, we actually can put some paint on them, and I can't wait for that. It's gonna be amazing, and I will see you guys there. Before I head out, I just wanna say thank you to both my patrons as well as my YouTube members. Without your guys' support, we just would not be doing this. So thank you very, very much for continuing to support the channel. And I will see you all next time where I'll paint some lizards. Bye, guys.
You better hold her to it, folks. She has to have them done by the end of November.
Oh boy, we can do this. I believe in myself.